Okay. So the first one is pretty chill. You have your unit circle. It's really easy. I recommend printing one out or drawing it out. I think I sent you guys this one. It's the one I always use from Wikipedia. I don't know, just because. So the answer says, so understand the question, right? Sine inverse of a value means what is the angle that gives me square root 2/2? So go to the circle. Square root 2/2 is right there, pi/4 for the y value. So technically this is an answer, and so is this one. But sine inverse can only give you values between negative pi/2 and pi/2. So it's only going to give me this. When I go to the question, it has to be pi/4. So there's nothing else to do there. Okay, let's look at the circle. Is that you comfortable using the circle? Okay, let's move on to number 2 then. Number 2 literally says use a calculator, so any scientific will do. Let's see, tan inverse of 0.7. Tan inverse of 0.7. The second tan inverse 0.7. So there's my answer. It's literally all you do. So let's see here. Oop, I put 0.7. Oh, I'm in degrees. So this is a good question because notice on none of the answers say degrees. So you should know.
That is correct. I just did this one. I'm sorry. I forgot to study.
Oh, you're good.
I just did some of these in there, and I just got 3 wrong because I had a degree consideration. I just not fixing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good reminder. It tricked me for a second too. Like, wait a minute. None of the answers show up. That means I'm not in radians. So before you start something like this, look at the answers and check if it's degrees. If you see no degree symbol, switch to radians. So number 1 and number 2, pretty chill, right? Number 3, it's a cancellation, or you can think of it this way. So go to the circle, look for sine 4 pi over 5. 4 pi over 5. Is that it here? Okay, what's it doing? Oh yeah. So 4 pi over 5 is outside the sine inverse value, the angle. So you have to change it to the reference angle. That's where, so basically you change this inside part into sine inverse of sine pi over 5. You just change it up. So these cancel, leaving you with this one. And if you're wondering, how do you find the reference angle? Just subtract from pi. So pi minus pi over 5. I'm sorry, 4 pi. over 5 will be pi fifths. Okay. So you go to the circle. If that's not clear, go to the circle. 4 pi fifths is in quadrant 2. So we want to know the distance, right? And if that's unclear, change it to degrees. Let's do this on paper. Maybe that'll be easier. Let me switch in just a second. Sine of sine. Is sine inverse sine or sine inverse sine? Yeah, sine inverse of sine. Okay. So change 4 pi fifths. Let me switch back to the pad here. Change this guy so you can see it better into degrees. Do these cancel? 180 divided by 5 is going to be what? 36 times 4. You get 144 degrees. So that's what this angle in here is, 144 degrees. So reference angle would be 180 minus 144. That's where the pi fifths comes from. Okay, so since this is quadrant 2, just do pi minus 4 pi fifths, which gives you this. Okay, so just use this guy in here. I think that's the easiest way to think about it. But if you can't see that it's in quadrant 2, change the degree so you can know, right? So I knew I subtract from pi because it's in quadrant 2. Anyway, nothing really to do there, honestly. It's just find the reference angle of this guy, let them cancel. So if it's too big, use the reference angle. I think that's all you have to do. Let's do this one. This one looks more interesting. The other one is kind of weird. Example 4. Find f inverse given f is equal to 5 cosine x plus 9 So I don't know if you guys remember the rules for finding inverses or not. Let me switch back. Step 1, change f of x to y. That's the first thing. So you get y equal to 5 cosine x plus 9. Step 2, switch x and y. So this becomes x, this becomes y. Step 3, solve for y. So here we're going to have to use the inverse functions. So basically isolate cosine. That's what you got to do. Subtract 9 over, divide by 5, you get to here. So now cosine inverse of both sides to cancel cosine. And that's it, pretty much done. Right, so these cancel. So now I just have y equal to this. And that's it. There's the inverse. What's it? Any questions on this problem? But all right. So this one, right? They just change y into f inverse. That's it. Okay. Let's do the next one, number 5. You guys cool on this page? No rush. So right here was just basic algebra. So if you missed something, let me know. I didn't explain the steps. Here is take cosine inverse of both sides. That's it. So you can't do this until the trig function is isolated. Okay. We'll do this next one here. Number, oh, I'm sorry. 5. You guys cool on this page or not yet? So number 5. I mean, you could technically use the circle once you isolate cosine. Or you can use your calculator, either way. These cancel, giving you cosine inverse equal to pi over 4. So which value would give me an angle of pi over 4? Right? Or what's the cosine value at pi over 4? So you could think of it that way, or you could just do cosine of cosine inverse then you get x equal to square root 2 over 2. So whatever makes more sense in your head. Because this right here is saying, what is the x value? It gives me this angle. Or what happens, what x value is at this angle? That's this. Okay. Any questions on number 5? Make sense?
Can I ask the question again?
Yeah. Question is, let me switch. So find the exact value.
1 cosine of 1 x over 5. That's all I'm looking. That's yeah. No, I understand.
All right, let's do this next one. No other questions on 5? So in this next one, you basically have to draw a triangle based on the information you're given. So you want to find tangent given the information in here. Okay. So what you do is say, you know what, let the inside, because this is technically some theta, right? Some angle. So let theta be this inside garbage. If I do cosine of both sides, when I get cosine theta, cosine inverse, they cancel. So that means that cosine theta is equal to 1/2. Or you can go from here straight to there because that is the definition. Inverse cosine. So now I just build your triangle. So we got adjacent. My cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So there's my hypotenuse. Solve for the missing side. And you get 1 plus b equal to 2. So b is equal to 4 minus 1. Right? Just basic Pythagorean theorem stuff you've done before. Here's the steps. So that means that this guy is square root 3. Okay. So now I have all the sides. So basically this is asking me, what is tangent of theta? So that's going to be opposite over adjacent. That's it. So whenever you see something that has, see how they don't match up, so they're not going to cancel. So rewrite the inside and build your triangle with that information. Once you've built it, find the tangent or whatever's out here. Could be a sine, could be secant, doesn't matter. Not secant, I guess. Cosine. Okay. Any questions on number 6? Excuse me. Okay. know. I don't remember him on anymore. 5, 6. Cosecant is technically 1 over sine, right? It's a good way to do this one. Yeah, I think the property we can use is the cosecant of negative x is equal to sine inverse 1 over x. So this would be sine inverse of negative half, which on your circle would be somewhere. Negative half would be 2 pi thirds or 7 pi 6. Let's see. Cosecant is negative pi 6, which is let me look at the question again. It's negative 2, right? Oh, I see why. It's sine, right? So it technically give me this value, right? The sine needs to be from pi over 2 to negative pi over 2. So it's gonna be this angle, but not the positive way. Positive angle has to be negative, so going in this direction. So that would be negative pi 6. Going this way, right, is positive pi 6. Right, so you gotta go negative right here. That's why they got that answer. That makes sense? Like it has to go negative. Because sine inverse is only going to go either first quadrant positive or negative direction fourth quadrant. It has to be there. Thanks. I think because I hit edit, so it removes the numbers. It's like I'm trying to show the answers, but it removes the question number. For some reason. Okay. This is the calculator question. Notice how there is no degrees, so make sure you are in degrees. There is no cotan button, so you would do 1 over tangent inverse. Okay, that's all you have to do. Let's do number 9 instead. We'll let you do that other one. So this one's very similar to the question number 6. Right? So do the same thing. Let theta equal the inside part. Take sine on both sides and you're going to get sine theta equal to sine inverse, or sine of sine inverse of u. So sine theta equals u. Build your triangle. So opposite over adjacent, or sorry, hypotenuse, opposite to this theta, be u over 1. So there's technically an invisible 1 there. Solve for this missing piece using Pythagorean theorem. We should get 1 minus u squared. I'm just going to skip that step because I assume you know how to do Pythagorean. Is that okay, or do you want to see this step? So just let me know. So now we can answer the question, what is cosine theta based on the triangle? So adjacent over hypotenuse is the definition of cosine. So there it is. That's all you got to do. Yeah, there you go. Any questions on number 9, sorry. It's okay. All right. So that was 9. Let's do 10, I guess. Solve on the interval 0 to 2 pi. 1 minus sine equal to 1/2. Solve for sine. Minus the 1, both sides. That gets you to here. Divide by -1. That gets us to here. So at this point, you can use your circle or use sine inverse. I say we use the inverse. That way you know, like, let's pretend that this was some ugly number. It's not on the circle. Then you'd have no choice, right? So you would have to solve for theta by doing this. So theta becomes sine inverse of 1/2. I'm going to switch to degrees so you can see it better. That, not the glare, right there, I guess. Sine inverse of 1/2 is 30 degrees, which we can kind of see on the calculator. Okay, now that's theta 1, but technically, whenever you use sine inverse, you can find the other angle by subtracting from 30. So that'll give me 150. So these are my two answers that are inside 0 to 2 pi. So this is the rule for sine. Just subtract from 180. So that's what they have, pi over 6 and 5 pi over 6. That's the same as 30 degrees and 150. So if you were to use radians, subtract from pi instead of 180 degrees. So this would be pi over 6. This would be pi. So pi minus pi over 6 would give me the 5 pi 6. Same thing. Okay, and this one's a calculator questions. I'm not going to worry about that. Let's do this one. It's 9, 10, 12. Let's do 12. You guys cool on this page? Okay. So let me know if you're not or something. Number 12. So just isolate cosine, add the 1 over, square root both sides. Whenever you square root both sides, you have to tack on the plus or minus. Square root cancels the square, so I get cosine theta equal to plus or minus 1. Square root of 1 is 1. So when is theta equal to 1 for cosine? When is it negative 1, right? So we technically have two answers or equations. But it's going to be 0. Cosine at 0, you get 1. Cosine at pi, you get negative 1. So that's how you get 0 pi. And if you look at the circle, cosine is 1 at 0, cosine is negative 1 at pi. That's all you got to do. Any questions on 12? Okay. This one's, I would just skip this guy. Just try it. Make sure you understand this one. It's about the same thing. The next two, 12, 13, 14. So all he wants to do is simplify. So basically, see if anything cancels, add fractions together, and that's it. Currently, I don't see any cancellation, so I'm gonna have to add these fractions. Change tangent into a ratio, then add them. So here was just the ratio identity, I think, or quotient. So we gotta add these guys. LCD is gonna be cosine times 1 plus sine. So this one needs a cosine. Multiplied by cosine over cosine. Multiply this one by 1 plus sine. Because the LCD is right. So I did all that just to get the LCD. So now the bottom will have, so cosine times cosine, cosine squared over the LCD. So now I got it. And then multiply that sine through, that'll give us sine times 1 plus sine squared, right? Over the LCD. Okay, so now just add the numerators and you're almost done. So we get cosine squared theta plus sine theta plus sine squared theta. So at this point, cosine squared plus sine squared is 1, right? That's the identity, one of the basic ones. So this becomes, so let me see, maybe I have to go to the next page, I guess. Yeah, oh wait. Turn the page. So currently I have sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta plus sine, right? I rewrite it a little bit. Over 1 plus sine theta times cosine theta. So this becomes just 1 plus sine. Because sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta is equal to 1. So that's the Pythagorean identity. So this right here is 1. But now notice that these cancel, right? So they're gone. One over cosine is c. So that was Pythagorean. And reciprocal. Any questions on any of the steps? Makes sense?
Can you go back to the other page?
Yes.
Paralyzed. His leg wasted away. He had pain in his shoulder from a wheelchair. He came in 3 times a week. And one day stopped coming. Thought he was dead. A few years later, he walked past me on the street.
What?
Yeah, walk.
Oh, shit. Show me his file.
It took me a while to pull the files from the archive. But if it proves your arrogant ass wrong, what?
Any question on this page, or you just wanted to write something down?
Yeah, I was just trying to write the last little bottom.
Oh, okay.
All your
Okay.
all the papers you've sent. I don't think you realize how severe the damages are. The best I tried, and
Okay. Number, what is it? I don't even know what we're on anymore. 15. This is a proof type, so we'll do that in a second. This is just half angle. What else is there? This one might be worth doing. Yeah. Last two are super easy. So let's do the proof, and then let's do this one. You probably need another page though. Go on this page. What number were we on? 15. Yep. Okay. So establish the identity or prove the identity, same thing. So show that this is actually equal. Let me write it down. So basically just pick a side and try to get to the other side. That's all you gotta do. I don't know if one's better than the other. I'll pick the left side, I guess. So multiply by secant theta plus 1 over secant theta plus 1. So I'm choosing to multiply by the conjugate. That's what we did there. That way it forces the top to be a difference of squares. Okay. That'll give me secant squared theta minus 1 squared over tangent theta times secant theta plus 1. So So multiply by conjugate. To get a difference of squares. That's where this came from. Because you multiply the top part, you're going to get this difference. Now, at that point, you need to know that secant squared theta minus 1 is equal to tangent squared. So replace that with tangent squared. So now I got tangent theta over secant theta plus 1. That's what we wanted to show. Any questions on this problem? Right. You guys cool on this problem? I'm going to skip this one. It's just a formula. Let's do, so that was 15, 16, 17. So these are we're given to find cosine 2 theta. So they told us that cosecant theta is equal to 5/3. Then they told us that theta is in which quadrant?
Second.
Yeah, second quadrant. So that means that cosine is negative, but sine is positive, right? Okay. They want me to find cosine double angle. So we might need the triangle. Let me shift back, forgot. So cosecant is the same as, if I flip it over, right, that's going to be sine theta equal to 3/5. Or you can use a cosecant definition if you don't want to do this. Cosecant is technically hypotenuse over opposite. Change to sine. Same thing, it's the opposite over hypotenuse. Solve for the sine using Pythagorean theorem, you get a 4. So now the question is, what is cosine 2 theta? 4 will be negative because we are in quadrant 2. Okay. So now cosine 2 theta. we need our double angle formulas. So I don't have it memorized anymore. So. Let's use. Oh, looks cool. Cosine squared minus sine squared, I guess. So double angle is equal to cosine squared theta minus sine squared theta. It should be on the one with that green sheet as well. Okay, so we got cosine, right? We got sine, so cosine is going to be the adjacent side over hypotenuse. To just plug that garbage in. Plug in the sine as well. So we get 16/25 minus 9/25. That's it. So this is what they want. So you just need to build a triangle and choose a formula. 7/25. Any questions on 17? All right. 18 is super easy. So is 19. So I'll just do one of them. Just use your formula. That's it. So let's see how we have a product. Let me share screen. All right. So here we have a product. Express it as a sum. So use a product to sum formulas. Over here we have a sum or difference. Change that difference to a product. So just use appropriate formulas. So cosine of 3 theta times cosine of 2 theta. Let's look up the product to sum. I believe this is the ones I gave you. So we got cosine cosine. So that will be equal to 1/2 times cosine of alpha plus beta. So 3 theta plus 2 theta plus cosine of 3 theta minus 2 theta. That's a theta, by the way. So that's it. All you gotta do. So we have answer B. Any questions on problems we did? Seem doable, the exam? The review should be similar. So just spend your time. Well, hopefully you're caught up on the homework, but if not, make sure you got the review down. Okay. And all your formulas ready. So you don't have to be like looking for stuff. They should all be on that green page. I passed that a long time ago.
Can you
Yeah,
email it
I
to
might
me?
have one in the lab. Let me, oh, you're good. I'll check.
And it's gonna be the same question.
Yeah, it should be similar. I think it's gonna be. Let me check.
So is this the only thing we can have? Does it
I mean,
have
if you want to
more
write your own,
memos?
it's fine.
Well, it looks like it does have all.
I think so. Let's see. I need to open it up. So tell me the number of questions. It's like 15. Yeah. Okay, so let's look at where we are on the schedule. Let's me remember. So we are on this week. About ish. Yeah, we're good. So technically this week we should be finishing the review and you need to do the exam. So let's do the exam via Respondus again. So all you gotta do, I don't know, did you ever install the program? Yeah, okay. So just like test one, it'll be the same thing. What's it called? So on Monday, I'm just gonna start hitting chapter 8 pretty hard. And after, I think, so far we've been ahead most of the time, even though we're going at a slow pace. So yeah, you just let me know if you have any homework questions. Should be all right. The last test is just gonna be about law of sines and cosines for the most part, and then some vector questions. So it'll be more focused. I think the last, that exam 3 is easier than exam 2. Exam 1 might be second easiest. And the final will just be everything. Okay. You guys have any homework questions you want to do? Because that's all I have for you today. Any questions from review or problems you're working on?
I just submitted 3 ask my teachers the first 3 questions on the well, it's actually 1, 2, and 3 on 6.6. I just think I'm typing it wrong. I think you mentioned it and I just didn't pay attention.
Let's check it out.
How to submit. Yeah, on 6.6.
Okay. 6.6. The first 3.
It's like the fill out like what the domain range and whatever it is. 6.6.
So 6, 6. Yeah, it's just definitions. I gave definitions a while back. I think it was that day we had like a ton of formulas, remember? It's also on the green page.
I have, well, that's what I'm saying, I have it.
So did you put it in like this?
I mean, like, that makes sense. It's the same thing, but I had, it didn't take like greater than or equal to. So now I know.
Oh, you wrote it. Oh, you wrote it in the interval. I'm sorry, the set notation, not the interval notation. This says interval right here. So you're supposed to write like this.
I didn't know what that was.
I'm assuming you try writing like that. Like,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So if they say interval, they just want the brackets, parentheses. Okay. They say if they say set builder or something like that, they want the less than equal to. But I think they're not gonna ask that. 95% sure it's only gonna be interval. I don't think it's anything else gonna come up. Have any other questions?
I'm fixing to just
Oh, look for some. Okay.
questions.
You guys good?
Because I feel like I'm literally holding the whole class. I will like I can do this now. I get like I can try to do this.
It's whatever you guys want. If you guys want to head out, you can. If you want to stick around for a bit, whatever. If you want to head out, that's also cool.
Yeah,
Sure, I'm gonna rewatch your video.
Okay.
the review, the tutoring.
It's all good.
I'm doing it at my own pace.
You guys are all adults.